Hey everyone, it's me, Tickets Please Reviews, as we take a look at the state of the Oscar race as of Thanksgiving weekend. There are three things to keep in mind as you're looking at these. One, it's not a prediction, it's more of a snapshot as to how the race is right now. Two, I'm only working with a very small amount of information, which I'm sure is going to grow with time, but basically it's guesswork as much as anything. And three, I couldn't be doing this by myself. I'm taking a look at Eric Anderson's Award Watch, the odds posts on Go Derby by both the experts and those that are the top 24 users, and Variety's Oscar page to help me determine the picks. But at the end, the decisions I make are ultimately my own. So here's the roadmap, though. Let you know the categories we'll go through. I said, here's a roadmap that'll give you the categories as we go through here. Bamski. And off we go to the late November snapshot of the Oscar race. Let's start off with Best Picture. I am starting with two tiers here. The films on Tier 1 would be films I would be shocked to see miss on nomination morning. The early favorite so far is The Fablemans, which of course is Steven Spielberg's semi-autobiographical film about his teenage years and how watching a movie helped inspire his interest in filmmaking. Then we got The Banshees of Inisherin, an Irish film about the falling out of a friendship between two men. And then we have the indie smash Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which is about an aging Chinese immigrant who becomes the unlikely person chosen to save the world. Tar, which is a film dealing with the composer conductor Lydia Tarr, who faces some personal crises while on the verge of a professional breakthrough. And then we have Women Talking, which follows a group of women trying to deal with a series of assaults in a religious comedy while dealing with crises in their faith. And last but not least, although there is an asterisk on it, I think increasingly we can put Top Gun Maverick in that first tier because it seems like there's more than enough possible Oscar interest that it will probably not miss here. It focuses on a new team of pilots under the direction of Pete Maverick Mitchell as they face a difficult mission. And now which brings us to the second tier. These are the films that I would be less surprised by missing, but as of right now, in this snapshot, I think they are probably going to make the cut. The biographical film from Baz Luhrmann about Elvis Presley, I could see winning the Golden Globes for Best Comedy Musical and would probably join Top Gun Maverick as blockbusters making the field. The Oscars also like honoring films that reflect on Hollywood. That's where I think Damien Chazelle's Babylon ends up making the field. Spotlight goes to the foreign film, a trend which began a few years back and ultimately led to Parasite winning Best Picture, and I think will continue here. If I had to guess at the moment, I would go with Lucas Don't for his Close that would end up in that spot. But it could just as easily be Decision to Leave, a detective drama from Park Chan-wook, the guy who did Oldboy. Triangle Sadness, a film about wealthy people stranded on a desert island. Or even the German remake of All Quiet on the Western Front. Just a small amount behind, but conceivably could make the field, would be Bollywood action film Triple R. As for that last spot, it thanks the Academy giving us clarity on knowing how many entries to expect, which will be 10. I'm going to go with the Darren Aronofsky film The Whale, about an obese teacher trying to reconnect with his teenage daughter. So, we know what I think is going to be in, but what's missing out? Well, for starters, we got The Woman King, the action film that was also a bit of a hit. The foreign films, which I've brought up already, the British movie theater romance Empire Light from Sam Mendes, the British remake of Kurosawa's Ikiru called Living, the journalistic takedown of Harvey Weinstein known as She Said, a super hero action film Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Till, where the widowed of a murdered African American seeks justice and emancipation from Antoine Fuqua. There may be other films on that I didn't mention that have a chance of ending up here when the nominations go out in January 24th of 2023. There was a little bit of concern when Brendan Fraser's name didn't show up at the Independent Spirit Awards, but I think for the moment he's still the favorite. I wouldn't be surprised if Colin Farrell makes the cut for the Banshees of Inisherin. It turned out he did win those. He did end up winning a major award recently, as does Austin Butler for portraying the king of pop music. And then after that, I am going to go with Bill Nighy, who gets in, much like Farrell, a surprising first-time nominee, despite a pretty decent career for himself. And the last spot, I'm going to go with Diego Calva for headlining Babylon. If the studio likes him enough to introduce him to everybody, I think that's a hopeful sign that he ends up as a nominee. But there's a lot of people who are missing out, including obviously nominee but non-winner Tom Cruise, Kelva. Gabriel LaBelle is a person that's making the most of his first shot at headlining a film with the Fablemans. Then you got Jonathan Majors for Devotion, one-time co-frontrunner Hugh Jackman of The Sun, Tom Hanks, multi-Oscar winner for A Man Called Otto. You got Aftersun from featuring Paul Mescal, and then I think the most recent winner of Best Actor, Will Smith, who you might remember got caught up in a scandal in the last Academy Awards. Although the road could be meaty, I'm got a feeling there could be those people that might be reluctant to nominate an actor who got banned from 10 years for his slap. Now heading for Best Actress, I think 3 of the 5 nominees feel pretty safe, led by Cate Blanchett in the titular role of Tar and the 2 Michelles. Yeoh's never been nominated, even though she played a vital role in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Williams, on the other hand, would receive her 5th nomination as the mother of LaBelle's character, who encouraged his efforts to make films. And then I think from here on in, certain uncertainty is going to reign, although I think Deadweiler has earned some praise for Till, and I do think voters like actors who transform themselves, which kind of favors Viola Davis and The Woman King. So who messes out? Well, for starters, you got Margot Robbie in Babylon, Olivia Colman in Empire of Light, the return of Jennifer Lawrence in Causeway, Rooney Mara in Women Talking, Ana de Armas in The Divisive Blonde, Florence Pugh in Don't Worry Darling, and Vicky Krieps in Corsage. It's a strong category, and some deserving candidates will not make the final 5. Even perhaps among those that I've mentioned as making the cut. So beware, this is going to be very interesting what ends up happening. Best Supporting Actor, I think right now is a 2-person race. Deserving veteran actor Brendan Gleeson, and the exciting return of Ke Huy Quan, who you might remember from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and The Goonies, are the favorites to take home the Oscar. As for the other 3, I don't really have a lot of confidence, but I kind of think as the major significant male and women talking, Ben Whishaw has a pretty decent chance. Judd Hirsch has a pretty good cameo in The Fablemans. And Paul Dano is, of course, being the father in that one. I got a feeling I could be off on this, but as of now, this is who I think probably will make the cut. But who misses out? Well, you got Oscar winners Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins, and Eddie Redmayne, along with veteran actors Ben Foster, Mark Rylance, and Jeremy Strong. And let's not forget Barry Keoghan, who also plays a significant role in the Banshees of Inisherin. Well, that now we're up to Best Supporting Actress. The early favorites are last year's surprise nominee, although I did call it last year, Jessie Buckley for Women Talking, and Hong Chow for The Whale, who missed out a few years ago for Downsizing. I'm a little skeptical on this. After all, who hasn't forgotten Catriona Balfe from Belfast, who ended up getting all sorts of feelings that she was going to make the final five for last year, but ultimately she didn't end up getting left out. But I guess we can go ahead and pencil in Carrie Condon for the Banshees of Inisherin and Nina Haas for Tar. I think after the Independent Spirit Awards getting a nomination from there, right now it looks like maybe veteran actress Jamie Lee Curtis will finally get her first nod for her role in Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. So who falls short? Gabrielle Union, who has received some industry love, but unfortunately, right now it appears she will be the sole nomination for The Inspection. And trust me, if you're battling for a single nomination, it's going to be tough if you're an actor or actress. Scene Stealers Dolly De Leon for Triangle Sadness and Stephanie Hsu for Everywhere Everything All at Once. Singer-actress Janelle Monáe, and veteran actors Claire Foy, Carey Mulligan, and Angela Bassett. Now we're up to director. And in all honesty, after the first three, I am not feeling that confident. I think the slight favorite has to be Spielberg, who won 3 Oscars with Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. The former film, he ended up winning as a producer when it won Best Picture. I think the chances of Martin Madonna and Sarah Polley, who got snubbed the last time they were up for awards, is probably pretty good as well. After that, I'm going to say one spot could probably be put in for a foreign film director. I will and don't, but I think the foreign films I brought up earlier, I think any of those directors could end up there. Maybe they could even split the foreign film director, with the latter nomination going with Park Chan-wook, or maybe the director of Triple R. And I think that last spot will be Todd Field for Tar, but yeah, like I said, not a lot of confidence at the moment. Maybe we'll get some clarification with the upcoming awards. Getting left out, you got the Daniels from Everywhere from Everywhere Everything All at Once. You got Damien Chazelle, who won an Academy Award himself. Spectacle director Baz Luhrmann. Antoine Fuqua, Gina Prince Blythewood, Ruben Ostlund, and Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun Maverick. Although it looks like maybe he'll get a screenplay nomination. Just a heads up. Now we take a look at adapted screenplays. The favorites right now happen to be Women Talking, which would give Polly her first Academy Award, and Glass Onion. Other contenders appear to be The Whale, which was written by Darren Aronofsky, and Long Shots, She Said, and Bones and All. Which means, unfortunately, the films that right now are on the outside in include Living, White Noise, Top Gun Maverick, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, the first of multiple moments you're going to see that film, and The Sun. And now we have original screenplay. It feels to be right now. It feels like it's crowded with Best Picture nominees, with The Fablemans, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. Perhaps it's a way of honoring the Daniels and their contributions toward the film if they don't get a director's nod. That's Oscar's done that crazier things before. Tar and Triangle of Sadness. Keep in mind, Triangle can't make the film for foreign film. It can't make the field for foreign film because its primary language is in English. So what misses out? Right now, I think it's going to be Babylon, After Sun, Decision to Leave, and Bardo. And next up, here's a good rule of thumb. If you want a good chance at taking home the Oscar for Best Picture, you probably should get a nomination for film editing. And right now, we got likely Best Picture nominees: The Fablemans, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything, Everywhere, Everything, All at Once, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick. And missing out on this one would be Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, Women Talking, and All Quiet on the Western Front. Next up is cinematography, and you got a mixture of blockbusters with serious films. As big films, Top Gun Maverick, Avatar The Way of Water, Face Off with more serious films, The Fablemans, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Empire of Light. Right now, there seems to be no room in the inn for Emancipation, The Batman, The Banshees of Inisherin, and Babylon. Coming up next, we have production design. We got three major blockbusters taking on a film celebrating the golden age of Hollywood and an Oscar frontrunner. The blockbusters would be Elvis, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Avatar: The Way of Water. The golden age of Hollywood film would be Babylon, and The Fablemans would be, of course, the Oscar frontrunner. Getting left out of this one would be Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. Coming up next, we have costumes. And we got musical Elvis taking on Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, The Woman King, as well as period dramas The Fablemans and Babylon. Missing out on this one would be Till, Everywhere, Everything, All at Once, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, and Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. Next up, we have original score. And we got entries from The Fablemans, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Women Talking, The Banshees of Inisherin, and Babylon. But unfortunately, not making the cut right now would be Empire of Light, The Batman, The Woman King, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now for Best Original Song. Right now, the favorite has to be Lift Me Up, which was done by Rihanna for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Also, I think in the mix would be Hold My Hand, which would be Lady Gaga's entry from Top Gun Maverick. Bollywood entry Natu Natu from Triple R. Nominated Diane Warren for Applause from the film Tell It Like a Woman. And last but not least, I think Chow Papa will probably pull off a surprise for Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I know a lot of people would be thinking Disney, but they kind of had an off year, I think. And missing out would be Billie Eilish and Brother Phineas for Nobody Like You. Taylor Swift for Carolina from Where the Crawdads Sing. And Mel Brooks, perhaps an interesting story in the making if he somehow makes the top 5, would At the Automat from, of course, the film called The Automat. And last but not least, we got Stand Up from Till. And now we head next to recently merged category Sound. The nominees here would be Blockbuster Elvis, The Woman King, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Top Gun Maverick, and Avatar The Way of Water. Not making the cut would be more serious dramas, The Fablemans, and Babylon, and action films, Everywhere Everything All at Once, and The Batman. Now we take a look at the visual effects, and this is usually a category you see action films. Oh, actually, swerve that. We got makeup first. And it seems obvious, based on the work they did with Brendan Fraser, you would think The Whale would get a nomination, makeup and hairstyling, and lo and behold, I think they will. Also showing up would be Elvis, the Batman, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Emancipation. However, this means there's no room for The Woman King, Everywhere Everything All at Once, Blonde, Babylon, and All Quiet on the Western Front. Now we can talk about visual effects, and obviously this is going to be where the action films shine. You got Avatar The Way of Water, Top Gun Maverick, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, The Batman, and Everything and Everywhere Everything All at Once. You know, I think I'm going to get this thing right at some point. Just missing out for visual effects would be Triple R, Beast, Doctor Strange and the Multitude of Madness, Jurassic World Dominion, and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. As for animated film, I feel pretty confident in 4/5 of these. Right now, I think the favorite would be Del Toro's Pinocchio, with Disney adding 2 entries with Turning Red and Strange World, which recently kind of busted at the box office. We'll see what happens, but I think it's probably going to get in. I also think there's going to be room for Marceau, the Show with Shoes On, which won the animated award at, I believe, in New York, the New York Awards. And then last but not least, I think Window and Wild is going to have that last spot. Low confidence, though. There's other films I think it could show up, like My Father's Dragon, The Bad Guys, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Luck. Now we turn over to documentary, and, well, this is where it's really a bit of a reach. I'm not sure, but right now we got All That Breathes, Fire and Love, and Amazon entry Goodnight Oppie. They all feel likely that they could make the cut. The other 2 films I think are going to show up will be All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, and the film Descendant from Netflix. Right now, that would unfortunately mean were the entries Navalny, which came from HBO, The Territory, Aftershock, and A House Made of Splinters would not make the cut. And like I said earlier, Triangle Sadness is ineligible for international feature, which I think kind of opens the door for Belgium's Close and South Korea's Decision to Leave to make the cut. Although I think there's also going to be room for France's Saint Omer, Argentina's Argentina 1985, and Denmark's Holy Spider. But right now, this means we're not going to have enough room for All Quiet on the Western Front, Corsage, Alcaraz from Spain, Mexico's Bardo, and Italy's Nostalgia. And in case you're wondering, Corsage came from Austria. So, I believe that wraps up the snapshot. Actually, not quite. I don't really, with the shorts, to be honest with you, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know what's going to be eligible or not. Thus, I can't make a good prediction, but I will update this once I start getting a clearer picture of it, probably sometime in December. And with that, that kind of wraps up the snapshot. So tell me, what do you think? Is there a performance or film that I'm missing? Is there something in the list that shouldn't be on there at all? Leave your comments in the section below. Hit that notification bell to be informed when more content drops, and to be sure to subscribe and spread the word. This is Sick and Squeeze Reviews, and the booth is now closed.